Honorable members, we now move to page 3. Honorable members, we move to page 4. Honorable members, we move to page 5. And honorable members, the last page, page 6. Honorable members, who is that? Yes, Lower Fuladu.
Thank you very much. I apologize if I have obstructed, but looking at the other paper, I'm making a suggestion, although I'm not part of the ABC committee. But looking at the way it is scheduled, I'm suggesting that we allow the first reading, then the minister statement.
Honorable, until I conclude this, let me conclude this process. Please. It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Thursday, 15th May 2025 be approved with amendments. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Yes, Honorable Member for Lower Fuladu, can you now take the floor?
Thank you very much. I just want for you to vary the order paper by allowing
consolidated fiscal performance against quarter one, an annual amount represents 23% of the domestic tax collection rate. This performance is mainly the result of a 31% collection of taxes on profits and capital gains, a 21% collection rate of taxes on goods and services, and a 29% collection rate of taxes on international trade and transport. However, it should be noted that non-tax revenue underperformed by 44% compared to last year, the same period, realizing only 6% of its annual target. The table below, which is table 3, indicate the consolidated revenue by different categories and their performance. Top revenue performers. Honorable Speaker, taxes on profits and capital gains. Actual taxes on profits and capital gains, which is 1.5 billion in the first quarter, grew by 39% compared to the first quarter of 2024, which was 1.5 billion. This improvement is mainly attributable to an annual increase in tax payables by individuals, 31%, and corporate and other enterprises, which is 42%. Actual taxes on international trade and transport, which is 1.7 billion, recorded an outperformance of 52% over the first quarter of 2024. It has a budget execution rate of 29%. Actual taxes on goods and services, which is 2.26 billion, was 15% over the first quarter of 2024 and represented 27% budget execution rate for the 2025 budget. This is mainly due to the good performance of general taxes on goods and services. Growth in domestic taxes is the outcome of increased efficiency in the tax administration, including the deployment of more enhanced compliance. Honorable Speaker, the actual total expenditure for the first quarter amount to 1.3 billion, which represents 25% budget execution rate. This is mainly due because of the increase in expenditures on subsidies and transfers to subvented entities. Subsidies and transfers amount to 2.04 billion, a result of increase in the wage bill of subvented entities and an input subsidy of $580 million for the fertilizer. Actual current expenditure of 6.98 billion represent a 25% of the annual approved budget of 28.27. However, it is 108 million, that is 13% above the previous year's outlay. This is mainly driven by a 32% execution rate of subsidies and transfers and a 29% execution rate for domestic interest payment. Also, personnel emoluments expenditure, which is 2.33, increased by 29% year on year, with an execution rate of 26% of the approved annual budget of 8.846. This year-on-year variance is mainly attributable to the increase in the salaries of the civil servants by an average of about 30%. Table 4 shows the consolidated revenue against the budget for the different budget line items. Capital expenditure, which is amounting to 1.148 billion, represents 30% of its approved annual budget, which is 3.77 billion. Compared to the corresponding period last year, capital expenditure increased by 93 million or 9%. Table 5 shows the movement in the different expenditure category items. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the first quarter of 2025 budget implementation shows a high domestic resource collection with an overperformance of 19% compared to the same period of last year. The total actual revenue of 6.67 billion performed better than the quarter one budget of 6.466 by 3%. However, this revenue turnover also coincided with high spending pressures emanating from increase in personnel emoluments and subsidies and transfers to public institutions. Actual GLF, that is government local fund expenditure, has increased by 25% compared to last year, the same period. However, the total GLF expenditure of 8.13 billion was below its quarterly budget by 3%. Actual gross deficit of 1.45 billion is below the quarter projection of 1.88 billion, which is 23%. Fiscal measures will continue to be instituted to ensure and support prudent budget implementation while making the needed expenditure to support growth. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, pursuant to Order 48.6 of the Standing Orders, I quote, after the statement has been delivered in the Assembly, a period of questions on the statement, which shall last no more than 1 hour, may then ensue. The Speaker shall determine the period for taking into consideration the content of the statement, the number of members wishing to ask questions, and the pressure of other businesses. May I now invite honorable members to ask questions relating to the minister's statement. Honorable members, honorable members, it looks we don't have much pressure on us. It looks, and it also looks like this is a critical stage to get implemented. To level. So we will try to open it as much as possible to allow members to ask questions, but please let us use duplication, continuous repetition and duplications. Please. I have a list of members, beginning with the honorable member for Lower Salum.
Honorable, thank you very much. And can I also be part of the people who will also contribute on this budget statement by the Minister? Honorable Speaker, I was just trying to go through the standing orders because it's an important document, Honorable Speaker. The document is submitted to us just less than 10 minutes before the arrival of the Minister. And we say it's an important document for us. And it's the most important document so far as a member of Parliament to scrutinize what the Minister is putting on his statement. Honorable Speaker, I have not seen any room. And again, if there are objections on the document, how can we deal with it? Because there are language that the honorable ministers indicate on the performance and the revenue collections on the budget. But then, after all, we received the document within 10 minutes. And if that will be the case, we need to go through on the document to know what has transpired during his budget implementation. But that is not the case. He just read, the papers, 7 papers document on our national budget implementations. Honorable Speaker, what I have read, if that will be the case, Honorable Speaker, the budget is in a ministerial budget, department agencies, and sometimes they subsidize other agencies. We could like the Honorable Minister to tell us, Minister A, this was the actual budget, Minister A, that in this quarter, the Ministry A spent this amount of our national budget. But we have series of complaints from the ministries, agencies, and department that if you ask any allocation from the ministers, that there is nothing in the envelope. And in paper, what we have seen, you make good records. But actually, whether good records is implemented down to the ministry and the agencies and the people. No. Honorable Speaker, if you check the page 2, because I have enough, I don't have enough ideas, but then I just read trying to give myself an answer. Because if you check the last paragraph, you said actual personal emoluments, 2.337 billion was more than its quarter one budget, GM, 2.188 billion by 7%. It could be attributed to the higher wage bill than expected. I think those people, personnel that are employed by the government, I think the ministry should have a record of it. Because before giving somebody an payment at the end of the month, you should know the particular person that you're going to pay. Because you have already budgeted an amount of monies that will be paid to emoluments. Can I ask, Honorable Minister, how many employees are in the payroll? And I want to answer. Honorable Speaker, we want to know, because this is the Parliament work, and is the a time where Parliament or ministry departments give their voice to members of Parliament, debate and give allocations to ministries. Honorable Speaker, we want to know what is the expenditure of each ministry, from your ministry down to the last ministry, the agencies, the departments, that we want to know. Each ministry, these are the monies that you spend in our national budget. Honorable Speaker, before going further, and I allow members, because I didn't make a thorough examine on the document, because I just received it now. You talk about the fertilizers issues. The last year, you spent the last year fertilizer, how much was budgeted? And trying to link the two figures that you have gave us now. Because we are told it's over $1 billion that was spent in fertilizer. I want you to authenticate this reality on the ground. But not, Honorable Speaker, I have much to say because I just received the document now. Then I will allow other members also to take the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Honorable members, let's remind ourselves of a few things, that there is a requirement for the Honorable Minister to make an oral statement to the National Assembly on the implementation and monitoring of the annual budget. And two, it should be made clear, honorable members, that the whole issue after the statement is a period of questions. You pose questions to the Honorable Minister on his presentations. Where you have doubts, where you want clarity, you ask your questions. So, Honorable Minister,
Point noted. My office and the table and the clerk will work on that for future to ensure documents are submitted on time. The Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member Follower Salum is asking for a detailed budget utilization by implementing agencies. Our understanding of this brief is at a macro level, because that will mean like almost when you're approving the budget, you go by item, by entity. So the presentation we have is on the actual implementation of the budget by revenue, by expenditure, and all the aspects, and indicate where the pointers are in terms of whether revenue is aligned, whether expenditure is above, and what are the factors leading to that. But observation noted, and we will look into that to see if the detailed breakdown by the individual budget implementing agencies can also be provided for future. In terms of the number of payroll, human resources employed by the government of the Gambia, this is a dynamic number, and human resources is being managed by the Public Service Ministry. They do manage the payroll. So I'll consult the Ministry of Public Services for additional details in this regard. Last year, fertilizer budget, what we did put in this in the first quarter, what we paid out is what we include here, which is the 500 million plus. And what is in the budget sectors are saying yes, they are asking for allocations. Allocations are not forthcoming as expected. And that is very true. Simply, as you can see, we are implementing the budget on a cash basis. You cannot, because of the way the budget is structured, you can only allocate based on the cash available for allocation. Because if you don't have cash and you allocate, that will mean you have to borrow, and our borrowing is being curtailed. So that is why the first quarter sectors are not allocated as they expected or as they would otherwise have, simply because of the cash collection. And this goes in line with certain elements. If you have certain capital expenditures, which are very heavy in this quarter, which is not nominally based by sectors. So that is the explanation for that. I think that is how I will respond to these questions. Thank you.
thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I am further informed that the standing orders request an oral presentation from the Honorable Minister, which usually is done and then the written documents are later issued. And we expect that the presented documents will be handled by the FPAC for further scrutiny and report on to Parliament. Thank you, Honorable Minister. I now call upon the Honorable Member for Woolly East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have one area of concern, that is the delay in collecting dues, etc., regarding the non-tax. Last year, I could remember we had the same problem. So it appears it is a recurring issue. What are the challenges and how do you intend to overcome this? My other issue also relating to non-tax is, why is it down? Is it that the asset recycling agreement has not come into effect? Have they not paid what they should pay? Because I think if that is done, the revenue would have gone up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Woolly East. Your observation is noted in the sense that if you look at the non-tax revenue, asset recycling was the largest part. And this is expected to come in the last quarter of the year. So it's not envisaged in the first quarter. But even for the normal non-tax collection, non-tax revenue collection, this is an issue we are looking at as a ministry because they are normally transaction driven. It's a function of like if you are paying your license, you don't pay your license linearly. It depends on when your license is due on different people. And if you look at other non-tax collection, non-tax revenue collection, it has not yet benefited from the digitalization that the customs and the tax collection has benefited from. So we are improving by even in certain instances bringing banks to start collection. So it's a work in progress, and we take note of that, and necessary action will be taken. Thank you.
Thank you. I now invite the Honorable Member for Banjul South.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Speaker, this oral statement should be on the implementation and monitoring, like you rightly mentioned. And like the Honorable Member for Lower Salem said, I'm not going to repeat it, but I would urge and appeal to the Minister if he can send the breakdown of the individual ministries' expenditure so that we can monitor as per our committees to make sure that what they were allocated and approved has been given, is being given accordingly. Because time after time, every bilateral, we are told that they underperform within their ministries because the allocations are not given and timely as well. I would also want the ministry, because according to the standing orders, the minister should come at least once every session. And I recall that the 2024 budget, we have not, even though that is passed, but we also need to monitor every government expenditure whenever and wherever. So we are appealing that he comes at least every session. We had an extraordinary session and he did not give us, and it does not say, it says every session. And an extraordinary session is a session. And we are in the second quarter. We are being given the report for the fourth quarter. So we would have also appreciated if the minister had given us a combined report to give us a report for the second quarter as well, because we are in June. So you could have also tried to give us, so that at least we can appreciate your not giving us timely reports. Honorable Speaker, I am also very concerned about the fact that the total revenue for tax revenue has gone up. The implication is not good for our citizens. It means that the citizens are paying more in taxes. Standards of living is also very expensive. And the fact that the non-tax revenue has underperformed is also not good, because it means that there is lack of foresight. There is lack of initiative within this government to make sure that there is alternative. So the only means of revenue is to milk the citizens of this country, which I think we should try to get an alternative so that we can suit our people to have a better standard of living. Mr. Speaker, also this is a summary. The order as per the provision does not say a summary. It says a statement on implementation and monitoring. So it should be the entire implementation and the entire monitoring process. It shouldn't just be a summary. And like the member for Lower Salem mentioned, for a whole government, we are in the 6th month of the year. To come and give us a report in 7 pages is a lot. I mean, it is concerning. I think we expect a thorough statement next time. I am appealing to the Honorable Minister, when he comes, to give us a thorough, because some of us are, we are not financially learned. So we need explanation in everything. You give us tables. Table 1, consolidated revenue and expenditure table. You said quarter 1 actuals, quarter 2 budgeted. Fine, which is excellent, it's good. But we also need a breakdown, like he said. If you say actuals, each minister is allocated a budget. We need to know, for example, the Minister of Gender, I know they are struggling. What have they been allocated? How far have they implemented what is allocated? What are the challenges stopping them from implementing, so that we can have mitigating factors to help them come to make sure that whatever they should be doing towards the end of the year, we don't want to wait until it's bilateral towards the end of the year for us to tell us that our women are suffering because we did not have money to. So please, when you report, give us a full report so that we can have the real state of how our people are suffering, so that we can help them suffer less. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Member for Banjul South. Honorable members, it's not a time for debate. I've tried to caution members. This is a time of questioning the Honorable Minister on his presentation. Just as the Honorable Member for Woolly Estate. All other issues that relate to the scope and all these things, this is Parliament. You are an oversight institution where the executive are accountable to you. You can put in your form mechanisms and all these things to make sure that whatever concerns you have are cleared up. And two, we cannot also have, in an extraordinary session, presentations from ministries. But the first one, you should understand it. We should understand it that extraordinary sessions are limited to the issue on the topic in concern, why you called it. So we note those things down, and please, not time for debate. Let's ask the Honorable Minister on his presentation. He's obliged to answer your questions. I now invite the Honorable Member for Nyamina Dankungu. Sorry.
Very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Banjul South. Yes, in terms, what our understanding of the standing orders request was an oral intervention. In such type of financial presentation, it's not a financial statement presentation. This is very typical even in the corporate world where you'll do quarterly briefing. And in such, the presentation format here is the norm. You don't blow it out to pages. So it's not a management accounts. It's not a quarterly accounts. We are presenting is oral presentation of the implementation of the budget, where you bring out the highlights of the budget implementation and execution. That's our understanding. And in terms of the quarterly, normally quarterly presentations are done in arrears. June is not yet due, ended. So normally you present the June quarter in the months of July, August. We take note of that, and we will endeavor, as the Honorable Speaker mentioned, during ordinary sessions of the Assembly, to come and brief the August Assembly on the implementation of the budget, if possible. In terms of the tax collection as being taxing the Gambian citizen more, I think that's quite the opposite of what has actually happened. If you look at the income tax bracket this year, we've moved the tax bracket, the base starting from 24,000. Before, if your earnings are up to 24,000, then tax kicks in. We've moved that to 36,000. So that is, we have given every Gambian citizen or employee 12,000 additional tax-free income. So it doesn't represent that we are taxing people, no. If you assume a basic tax rate of 25%, it means tactically the government has given back to every employee in this system 3,000 tax-free income implicitly. That's what the shifting of the tax bracket implies. And how do you assess the tax burden on the citizens of any given country? It's a very simple ratio. It's called tax revenue to GDP. What is your share of the GDP that the tax revenue comprises? The sub-Saharan African average tax to revenue GDP ratio is 16%. For the information of the August Assembly, we are 10 to 11%. So we are below the sub-Saharan African average in terms of tax burden. This is not my statement. These are statements that are easily verifiable. This is how, and in terms of the actual allocation to each ministry, we've explained that in answer to the lower salary member. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I now call upon the Honorable Member for Nyamina Dankungu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, on your statement, page 2, that is on the actual personal emolument, you told us that it's 2.3 billion. It was more than its first quarter budget, which was 2.18 billion by 7%, an increase of 7%. But my problem here, Honorable Minister, is when you said this could be attributed to a high wage bill than expected. The language here, you are dealing with, here we need something that is not speculation. We need something that is concrete. But this could be attributed to a high wage bill than expected is my problem. The language there is my problem. I don't know. I need an explanation to that because what we need is concrete. Yeah, maybe he can come to that one. Yes. Then the other issue is at page 4. Top revenue performance. Top revenue performance. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, 1, bullet point 1, you told us tax on profit and capital gain tax. Actual tax on profit and capital gain was 1.502 billion in quarter 1, grew by 39% compared to fourth quarter of 2024, the same figures. The same figures. I think there must be an error. Then you go to bullet, on the same column, on bullet point 2, actual tax on international trade and transport, you indicate was 1.714 billion, recorded a performance of 52% over fourth quarter of 2024, which was 5 billion. Here again, 5.874 billion. So look at that comparison also. That one also, I think you need to look at it correctly and help us. On the issue of subsidies, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, what was budgeted in 2025 on subsidies was 691 million. And what you spend is 808 million. There is a variance of 100 and something million. I would actually want to know how you raise that variance, because what was actually budgeted in this August Assembly was 691 million, and you have spent 808 million. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Member for Nyamina Dankungu. Yes, the point of observation on paragraph 1 on page 4, you're right, the number should have been 1.102 from the table. It's a typo. 102. The table has the correct numbers. So apologies for the typing error there.
Minister,
yes.
let's get that corrected by all. Which page? Page 4. Huh?
4. If you look at the table, 1.5, it should be 1.102.
On the where are you on page 4?
On page 4, the first bullet.
The first, is it?
Taxes on profits and capital gains.
Pardon?
Taxes on capital gains. Number 1. If you go to the table, it's 1.56 versus 1.102 instead of the repetition of the same number.
Number one, you have taxes on profit and capital gains.
Yes.
And the figures there is 1.502.
Yes. And if you look at the comparable for 2024, it was repeated again.
1.502.
Yes, it should have been 1.102, which is in the correct table. If you look at the table has the correct
So
number.
the comparable year 2024 should be 1 point what?
It's 1.5 compared.
The previous year should be 1 point what?
It's 1 point. It's supposed to be. Yes. No, wait a minute.
Now what I'm saying is, they are the same figures.
I'm coming.
And then
Yes.
he said there is a topo in the right.
Yes, I am focusing on the tax payment.
Now we expect
If you
that
look at this,
the error is on the one quoted from the 2024.
Okay, let me just explain. Yes. Okay. If you look at the total, it's 1.56 against 1.1. That is the taxes payable by corporation and all enterprises.
Honorable.
Yes.
Honorable, on your taxes on profits and capital gains, the capital gains is you wrote 1.502 billion. Have you seen that? Have you seen that?
I just saw that. Let me just make some correction here. The narrative has some typing issues. Yes.
No, what we are saying is,
if we go to the table, Honorable Speaker, table 2, on the tax top line.
Table 2?
Yes, on the consolidated table.
So before you go to table 2, Honorable.
On the same page.
No.
It's on the same page.
On the same page, we have table 3.
Yeah, it's table 3. I'm calling it table 2, sorry. It's table 3.
Before you go there, Honorable.
Yes.
The figures on that one, that's where you have taxes and on profits and these things. Number one, are the figures they are correct?
The figures in the
figures that you put there, 1.502, and then you have
yes.
in 2024 1.502. Are they correct?
No, there is a typo. That's what I'm trying to clarify. There is a typing issue. Let me the table is the correct one. The writing has some typing issues.
All right, we go to table 3, yes?
If you go to table 3, the total tax is taxes on profits and gains. The 2021 quarter 1 actual is 2.091 compared to 1.
Take us through.
Okay,
please.
Look at the table 3.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth line. Taxes on profits and capital gains. The actual for quarter 1 is 2,091,000,000, while the comparative for the previous year is 1.502. So the text should have read, the first number should be 2 instead of the 1.502. It should be 2.091. Yes, 2.091. Apologies, 091. Compared to the 1.52. Yes, thank you. Yes.
Honorable members, are you following?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Apologies for that typo. And thank you, Honorable Member. For Nyamina Dankunku. Yes. But the explanation in terms of the salaries, because when you project for salaries, there are two variables: the number of employees and the value or salary per employee. So we have not been able to zero into what is the combination of the factors, because it was the first year of the implementation of the revised pay scale. So that's why we said could be as an explanation of why it's more than budgeted. That's the explanation. And for the subsidies and transfers on the fertilizer, yes. On to, is it about the numbers? No, just forget about that. Let's focus on the tables. All the narrative, everything. The table is the correct data. The narratives are not okay. So on the subsidies and transfers, agriculture fertilizer are paid in areas. So what was budgeted in 2025, and there was areas of last year. So it's a combination of that we paid. That's what explained that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you want any other? Pardon? Okay. I now invite the honorable member for Upper Salum.
Thank you. 136. But then the actual for Q1 is about 580 million, which is a 15% increase for the first quarter. Can the Honorable Minister help?
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member Upper Salum. Like I mentioned, in terms of input subsidy, what is budgeted for and actual prices and actual quantity may vary. So we paid based on the advice from the Minister of Agriculture, and the amount that they asked for is what we have disposed in this regard. Thank you.
Any lower Upper Salum?
Yes.
You are fine?
No, I'm not. Is it as a result of improper budgeting? Because of a budget, we understand is a planning tool financially, a given period of time. So the variance of 15% is extremely high. No, if it is like below 10%, somebody can understand because you may not get the actual. So is it as a result of improper budgeting or advice from the Minister of Agriculture, or what actually is the issue here? Because 15% seems to be too high.
Well, like I explained, when we are doing the budget, what we budget and what actually might be the actual contract price may vary. That's one. Also, we are concerned about cash allocations. So a number of factors are there. Even though the budget might be there, sometimes you are constrained by how much you can allocate because of you cannot borrow more than your national domestic borrow requirement, NDB targets. This is the one variable that is keeping the sector's allocation to check, that we cannot lend or give allocation to sectors more than the level of the borrowing that we are allowed under the IMF program. That is the explanation. Thank you.
Yes. Who is saying? Who is? Huh? But who is talking?
It's Lower Salum, yes.
On what?
Because we have budgeted 500.
No. Honorable. The honorable member for Upper Salum asked the question. If he is satisfied.
No, he is not.
No, he should say it. Oh, he has given you the. No. I even allowed the honorable member for Upper Salum, after the minister's answer, I called him back on my own to say if he was satisfied, and he came back. Honorable Lower Salum, Lower Salum, the honorable member for Upper Salum is around. You are the most able person to represent him, lower and upper. But he's around, he's not gone yet.
The question that he asks is best interest for all, because we are members of parliament that we approve the budget. And what we have seen in record doesn't tally with our approved budget. Now we are curious to know where those 15% of increment come from. Yes.
I think that's what the honorable concern was. Honorable member, was that not your concern? And then he said, why the increase after the parliamentary approval? You approved something and they exceeded it by an amount. Why did they do that? I think that was his question. And then the honorable minister responded. And then I asked the honorable member again, and he followed it up with another question. He wanted the justification for moving it out from that point to that point. Now, this is what the honorable minister answered. And you are asking almost the same question. What is your difference?
What we are asking is the amount, the figures that are in the document, and what we have approved. Now he said by the advice of the minister. Now we are asking him here. The budget is his under custody, and he cannot give any budget that's more than the ceiling that is in the envelope that the National Assembly has to approve, an actual one. But now, if that is going to be the case, where those monies come from, and what actions he has taken to get this money? Yes. Yes.
Honorable Member for Lower Salem, budget execution, budget is a plan and it's a forecast. In the course of execution, certain information or challenges may come which was not expected at the time of the budget design stage. In such instances, when those pressures come, you look for budget envelopes that can accommodate that and you avaya. That's the practice. Thank you.
Honorable, I think in simple terms, are you saying there were environments to make sure that that amount is met?
I have had this is why in my first intervention, I demand for him to give us the breakdown.
The budget is nothing but a reflection of budget support, which comprise more than 30 to 40% of the budget. You will see this deficit shrink to the level projected in the budget. Thank you. On the non-tax revenue, this is a cause for concern. We are aware, and necessary action is taken. We are looking at, of course, digitalization is a long-term solution. What we are working on, Accountant General Department is working with sectors by, like for example, now passports are now collected through paying through banks. RVTH is also doing the same thing. So we are trying to do non-tax issue method of collection, non-digital method of collection. As you know, the full digitalization is not yet there because we don't have a single payment gateway for the country. So all we have to do is use third-party collection like financial institutions doing collection on our behalf. But this is noted and it's not yet there because we don't have a single payment gateway for the country.
Statement to the Assembly on the implementation and monitoring of the annual budget. And two states, notwithstanding in this standing order, notwithstanding in this standing order shall
to it saying thank you on the digitalization, but I will emphasize not only monetary since it is very important. You can please help us extend it by giving budgets to our sister ministries, especially on the security, health, transportation, and so on and so forth. Thank you. This digitalization also with it can also show the level of preparation that the government is to fight against corruption, since the law has been passed here. So it's already a good move to digitalize the monetary based area of the collection of the revenue. Honorable Speaker, my own is still now looking at the revenue collection. Is bravo for collecting huge sums, like he said, every year, or comparing the revenue and the non-revenue based collection. I am seeing that the non-revenue is not performing well as expected, where you have page 3, last statement. However, it should be noted that the non-tax revenue underperformed by 44% compared to last year, the same period realizing only 6% of its annual target. And the percent there is very huge. There is a big variance, and there is nothing stating what is responsible. And this was an area I was having high hope on for collection, because when this travel to Spain was announced, we could see the passport area was overloaded, jam-packed with people collecting passports. So what is responsible of the low performance? We can also look at the, if you come to page 6, where also you have stated that actual GLF expenditure has increased by 25 compared to last year, the same period. However, actual total GLF expenditure 8.130 was below its quarterly budget by 3%. Though the percent there is minimal, but I am interested to know what is responsible. And overall, you've said that the budget support you are expecting is not yet. Perhaps that reflects this variance. My question will be, this variance with regards to the budget support not yet in, economically, what effect does it count down to the society with regards to pricing and inflation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Nyamena West. As we also envisage, and it is our wish as a ministry to allocate budgets to the sectors as they need it to implement their programs. However, it will come back to the issue of cash collection. And in the course of budget implementation, it doesn't mean that the budget is a linear budget. You divide everything by 12 and every quarter is the same amount. No. Certain items like the non-tax revenue, which is 7.9 billion there, it comprises of the 50 million from Africa 50 and more than the 30 million from the budget support, which is like almost $80 million, which is comprised of. So if you look at the non-tax revenue, what is expected from that sector of 7 billion, you have more than 80% of it not falling due in the first quarter. That will fall towards the third quarter, as we know. So that is how the budget is implemented. And on the issue of less than budgeted expenditure, yes, expenditures were less than budget simply because we could not allocate to sectors as they request or as they need, simply because of the ceiling on the allocations. These are the explanation. And on the non-tax revenue, you are right, but the bigger chunk of this category is yet to fall due. That is the explanation for the 6% implementation rate of this element. And we are working on also even what is supposed to be normal course of business to be improved as much as we can. Thank you.
I now invite the Honorable Member for Bakau.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, on page 3 of Table 2, where you have the debt interest, if we have the indicated figure as approved and the indicated figure as actual, Honorable Minister, I want you to make me understand as to how the indicated figure as actual, how do you reach to that figure?
How the actual has what?
I want the Honorable Minister to explain to me to understand how the indicated figure as actual. How did the ministry reach to that figure? Arrive to that figure?
Thank you very much. Yes, the actual is based on what was paid during the quarter. And you can see two elements comprised of the actuals: external, 256, and domestic, 1.3 billion. We have a standing order with the central bank. Every issue debt, as the maturities fall due, central bank will debit the government account, and that's when we will pick the expenditure and record them. These interest payments are managed by the central bank. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Bakau. Honorable Member for Kiang West.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, the budget implementation report for the first quarter has given us figures. Actually, this does not necessarily relate the minister or the ministry, but I think, honorable members of the parliament, during budget session, we look at figures, how they are disbursed. Implementation report, we look at figures, how we get. I think we need to now shift to impact-based reports as far as budget implementation is concerned. We allocate budgets as per projects. How these monies are disposed, how do we get them, and the impact of those things on the people. That's an implementation. But this is only telling us about the figures. And I think, honorable members of the parliament, I think it's quite important that we start requesting that. Because sometimes some ministries will complain that we are not allocated this. Ministries will be allocated these monies, go to the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources. The 10 million consistent allocation 2023-2024 for the drilling of boreholes. Go and look at the boreholes around. Boreholes were drilled and nothing is done about them still. So I think we need a very detailed implementation report of the budget. These are just figures that most of them mathematically cannot do much about it, unless we give it to FPAC to do some technical work and come report to us, and then we debate on them. But otherwise, we have not lot to, we will not have an eagle eye to look at some of the things in detail in this report. However, having said that, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Minister, on page 3, as per the reasons you've highlighted for underperformance of the non-tax revenue, one of them is low dividends from state-owned enterprises. Honorable Minister, could these things be well explained? Because of recent, we've passed a state-owned enterprise bill, which required the signing of a dividend in a policy with the state-owned enterprises. What are some of the state-owned enterprises that has underperformed, who met, the required dividend they're supposed to pay as per their signature? And what are some of the enterprises who shortfall of this agreement? And can we know what is in fact the right amount of dividend expected from state-owned enterprises as per this quarter, and what is the shortfall? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Kiang West. Yes, that's a viable impact, but as you rightly mentioned, impact reporting is not within our mandate. That will be at the sector level and the National Assembly. In terms of the dividends, yes, we have expected dividends, but for this quarter, nothing fell due. We are expecting dividend from some of the state-owned enterprises and from the central bank, but for the quarter one, these dividends did not come through. We expect normally dividends to flow through in the second quarter to third quarter when they would have finished their accounts and do their actual audits, because normally dividends can only be paid upon completion of audits. So we expect, that's why, as I explained, in this quarter, not much dividend was expected. So we expect the SOEs that for whom we expect dividend, that this will accrue in subsequent quarters. Thank you.
Yes,
Is
a
it
clarification.
who?
Yes, a clarification. And
Kia?
yes, Kia West.
Yes.
Yes, state-owned enterprises which are expected to pay dividend are not due for this quarter, but low dividends from state-owned enterprises is being featured on the report as per one of the reasons why non-tax revenue underperforms as per this quarter. So I don't know why it is featured here.
Some of the, and not all of them have the same reporting calendar. So for some, their accounts of 2022 or 2023 could still be pending. So we have expected that to be done. The fact that it was not done, like for example, for some of the enterprises earlier, last year even, we were expecting dividend. The dividend did not flow through until 2025, which was expected in 2024. So we have an expectation. We put it in the quarterly calendar, but it didn't come through because they have not finalized their accounts. And this does not necessarily mean account of 2024. Some of the SOEs are behind in a year or two in their accounts. So this is the explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Kiang West. Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there are a few observations that I've done on page 2 and, of course, page 4. On page 2, which is the detailed consolidated Q1 budget performance against projection, where the actual emoluments was more than the Q1 budget by 7%. And you said this could be attributed to a higher wage bill than expected. So, Honorable Speaker, I would like you to elaborate on the attributed wage bill, and of course, what were the expectations and what hindered that expectation. And also, again, on page 4, just a minute. On page 4, you've also made mention about the actual taxes and international trade and transport. Recorded a performance of 52% over the quarter of 2024 billion. A figure is indicated of 5.8 billion. It has budget execution rate of 20%. So specifically, Honorable Minister, could you inform this August Assembly specifically the area in terms of international trade that one could only rely on, to figure out as the budget execution? Can you elaborate on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Sane Mentoring. Starting with the last question, on the taxes on international trade transactions, you could see the components are as follows: customs and other import duties, taxes on exports, and other taxes on international trade. The sum total of this for the first quarter 2025 was 1.7 billion, which when compared to 2024 of 1.1 is an outperformance of 52%. The elements that you are inquiring about, the components of these are the three elements that are below the heading. That is customs and other import duties, taxes on exports, and other international trade. As you can see here, the largest mover is the custom and other import duties, which is the 1.7 billion. On the staff cost, as I have mentioned, budgeting for staff costs involve two elements: number of staff as well as their wage levels. So it is this combination that inform what went into the budget. It could be we will have to consult with the Ministry for Public Service to look at the expected headcount at the budget stage and what were the headcounts during the implementation. That will form the basis of why the variance of 7%. But it's very normal that in a year of first-time salary increase, variances on that side are realized, because you might have even missed out. Some of the agencies will say, no, I was not included, and then onboarding them, like we had with the Minister of Health, Agriculture, and some of the sectors, which they were not in the budget, but then they realized that they were entitled to, and then they came on board. But we'll do a deep dive on this and come back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Sani Mentoring. The first question was not answered. Big question. He answered it. I now call upon the Honorable Member for Upper Fladu West. Okay. Honorable Member for Central Badibu. Honorable Member for Nyani.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, as you made mention of the digitalization of the tax collection, my question here is, how is the ministry leveraging technology and data analytics to track real-time budget executions and financial performance? And also, if you look at the delay in the disbursement of the budget in certain institutions, how does your ministry plan to address potential delays or bottlenecks in budget disbursement and expenditure throughout the fiscal year? If you look at also budget, as we say, that is projection, how does the ministry plan to adopt or reallocate funds mid-year if economic conditions change significantly from projections?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Member for Nyani. Of course, we are leveraging on technology in terms of budget monitoring. The core technology platform we use in the implementation of the budget is the IFMIS system. And part of it is, that's why we are able to report. Otherwise, we will not have been able to report the first quarter numbers. But increasingly, more and more, the IFMIS is rolled out to entities or agencies within the government, and this is going to facilitate. We urge agencies to not only have the IFMIS system, but to pass all transaction through the IFMIS system. Down to today as low as about 73%. So while it is still high, but it's on a downward trend. This can only happen by you not adding to the debt stock through recurrent expenditure. So we preserve, we leave the debt elevation to come mainly through capital expenditure in the form of infrastructure and other areas. But for recurrent expenditure, we have a maximum that we can borrow. If economic conditions change adversely or for whatever reason, far from the baseline of the budget, it called for a revised budget or a supplementary budget, in which time you will look at the elements, what are the new disruptions, and whether what budget you formulated is enough to carry out your government operation, and if not, you calibrate it downwards, or if you come across additional revenue, you increase the budget size. That is how you react to changes in economic circumstances as dictated by the budget laws. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Member for Nyani. Honorable members, I think this question has been asked several times, where sectors approved budget lines have been done for the sectors, 50 million, and they only go to receive 20, 25, 30 million. And this, I'm sure, have been complained to members. If you look at the minister's response, all what he is saying, that's why the same questions are being posed. He said you cannot give what you don't have. It has been approved, but the actuals they have from receipts, from revenue, cannot meet the approved budget. They have to resort to either taking loans to do it, and the level of our loan bracket is it's not very comfortable. That's what he is saying. Honorable Member for Basse.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, on page 5, after hearing year in, year out from ministries, department, institutions for under allocation of their approved budgets, and also just hearing from your answers here that you did some environment on the subsidies to at least to spend more than what was budgeted for. Are you telling us this 25% expenditure for the first quarter is representing all the ministries, institutions, and departments?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The 25% is at the total level. Some ministries might be less, some might be more, like where in the case of agriculture, we allocated more than was budgeted. So the report is based on the macro, the totality of the budget. But individual ministries will have different implementation rates based on the pressures that they have come up with. Like, for example, if we have pressure from the health ministry or from education, those are things that cannot wait. So you will see in the implementation, like energy, if we have pressures from those sectors, we'll be obliged to allocate to those sectors in the right of the pressing needs that they have. But otherwise, it's not because we are using our discretion to treat a ministry more important than the other. It depends on the issue at hand. So when we say 25% execution rate for the first quarter, it means the totality. But some ministries will be overshooting it, some will be underperforming, will be less than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for ably delivering your statement and responding to honorable members' concerns and
Honorable
questions.
Speaker.
Who is shouting? Papa Salum.
Yes. Honorable Speaker, with your permission, I would like to make a request. If the minister can update this document and send us the actual one to the office of the clerk, so that members actually can have the actual copy for our own records.
Minister can make an?
Correct, because there are some errors in the document that he has submitted.
Okay, the corrections he made.
Yes. And then
the corrected copies.
Yes.
Okay. Honorable Minister, please take note.
Yes, the typos will be corrected and the final version will be sent out. Thank you.
We thank the Honorable Minister for ably presenting his statement and responding to your concerns and questions. Honorable Minister, thank you with your technical backup. And let me also thank honorable members for insightful questions and contributions. Honorable members, let me also thank the clerk and the service staff for their support. Honorable members, I now put the question. Be resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned until Tuesday, 17th of June 2025. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. This Assembly now stands adjourned until Tuesday, 17th June 2025 at 10 a.m. prompt.